Hey everyone, Leader Dorset Spur back with another video. I'm rolling them out constantly at the moment, but that's because the game's come thick and fast and there's been a bit to talk about. So, wow, what a result. Who saw that coming? I have to say my prediction was a very safe one. I don't know if any of you watch Dave the Irish Hotspur, but I've been doing a prediction video for him each week when we've got a game. And for me, I was like, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get. I actually made the comparison with Forrest Gump. Tottenham are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So, and that was the case. I wasn't sure. Were we gonna get the result? Wasn't we gonna get the result? It was a real tough one to call. I know that Newcastle have been having some difficulties. They're struggling the same as we are for injuries and that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, let's kind of play it safe. So I went for a Desmond a 2-2 just to see what the result would be, and I played it pretty safe. So didn't go up to the game. I'm working at the moment. I've got lots and lots on, so I'm struggling to get to games. So which is a bit disappointing, but I was able to watch it on the television, obviously, which is it's annoying that you have to rely on the TV, but life is what it is, right? So, yeah, what a game! What a really good game. Again, straight away started off really well. The passing and the movement was exceptional at points. There was a couple of movements in there where I literally sat there and went, wow. That's just quality movement and passing. I thought that Udogie was unbelievable. Certainly in the first half, he was everywhere. He was almost playing like a creative midfielder. He was in places where you just wasn't expecting him to be. And to top it off with a goal was absolutely fantastic for him, because I felt that his performance overall in that first half really deserved it. So I was so pleased for him to get off the mark like that. And it's great as well to see other players contributing to the goals rather than it all being heaped upon Sonny's shoulders or Richie's shoulders or whoever it might be. It's great to see the overall contributions coming in from different members of the team. So really happy to see that. And like I say, I was super keen on the performance, but really wanted to see the goals going in. And of course, when you see Richie score his first goal with his feet after coming back from surgery, it felt like we were on the way, that we could put this one to rest. We could really go on and actually get a really good result here, because Newcastle were a decent team. Even with their injury problems, they are going to cause you some issues. And certainly in the second half, they did show that. They did show that they had a threat. They did show that they had the ability to really get onto us and stuff. And I felt that we dropped off a little bit. We kind of got to that point where we were running out of steam. And I don't know whether this is because the guys are just working so hard and it gets to a point where they get so tired that they can't keep it up. And that's why Ange has to refresh and so on. And of course, what he needs is the recruits that are of the same level in the same way, able to do that. And I did think the guys who came in did okay. I thought they freshened it up and kept the momentum going and so on. But of course, your first team starting 11 is your first team starting 11, and we know who our top players are. I think but overall, I thought the majority of the players within the team on Sunday, all of them had a really good game. Porro was outstanding. Kulusevski was outstanding. Sonny had a really good game. Udogie, even Ben Davies, I thought did really well. Romero, again, really strong player within the team. Now, I want to address the issue with the tackle. I've got to say, hands up. I thought he was off. I thought that's a sending off offence. It's a red card. You should have gone there. the more I look at it, watching the replays and stuff, sometimes when you look at it, you think that's a little bit malicious, or he's kind of meant to do that, you know. Like the one against Chelsea, there was probably too much passion in that, and he went over the ball and took the player as well. With this one, number one, he didn't need to make the tackle. Number two, you know, he's gone in strong. But what I did feel, and it might just be me, and I'm not downgrading it, because like I say, I think he probably should have got sent off. The player on the floor, who he'd actually been tackled, I can't think who it was who tackled him and put him down initially. I think it might have been Ben Davies, I'm not sure. But he went to get up very quickly following that tackle. And if you watch, he went to jump up and he kind of moved the ball with his foot, which was great play by the guy. He'd been fouled and he's jumping up to carry on kind of thing and take the advantage. And I think where Romero went, he went for the ball, but the player on the floor, even though he was on the floor, was able to move the ball before he actually got there. And that made it look a lot worse and a bit more intentional. And this might just be me overanalyzing it, right? I don't know what's in his head. And I might be making excuses maybe, I don't know. But that's kind of how it looked to me, like that he'd see the ball, he went to win the ball to gain the advantage quickly going on, and has basically mistimed it because the player who'd already been fouled was able to move the ball just slightly enough and he kind of went in, caught him on the ankle. But you can tell by his reaction, he was like, you know, it's one of them. He probably wasn't thinking about going in for the player. He was thinking about just winning a quick turnover. But absolutely, it's a no-braining type thing to do, where he kind of needs to think about that, because he's getting a reputation for being that sort of player. And if he gets that reputation, longer term, refs will look at it and go, no, you meant that, you're going for that. And he'll get even more red cards. And we can't afford to lose him, especially with Van der Ven not being in the team. You cannot afford to lose a player like Romero. He needs to understand his importance to the team and why he's important to the team, and just make some of those tackles, you know, not as often, or when they're really needed, or whatever that might be. So that's my take on that. Agree, disagree. I get it. I've got no problem with it. Of course, seeing Richie, going back to the Richie scenario, getting 2 goals, amazing, great to see that, because he's needed that. I felt the second goal got a little bit fortunate, I get, but that's what happens, right? And you take those chances. So fair play to him. He got himself a couple of goals. He's got himself off the mark, really, using his feet as well. So I'm really pleased for him. He needed that, and that will do his confidence the world of good. And they've talked about him being a real confidence player. So, and if that's the case, then that's really going to help. And of course, then you get the penalty, which, okay, they say that he's kind of bought it, but that's what they do. If a goalkeeper comes out, doesn't get the ball, and then tries to lift themselves up as the player's jumping over them, that's always going to be given all day long, and keepers know that. And if you also look, he reached out towards his leg. So Sonny's got every right to go down in that scenario. It's annoying when you're not that player. It's not your player. I mean, and you kind of getting stitched up, sort of thing. But ultimately, you know, from the team winning the penalties point of view, you're going to take it all day long. So I was more than happy with that, and seeing Sonny step up, almost take a Harry Kane type penalty right in the bottom corner, coming across the ball, left the keeper no chance. So there you go. A little bit disappointing to concede a goal after being so dominant in the game, but again, a mistake leads to that. So it tells you that the concentration has to be there all the time. So yeah, a little bit disappointed about that. But I felt by this time that the game was won. There was no way back. It was too late in the game and so on. So no problem for that at all. I want to touch on the handbags at the end with Callum Wilson and Vicario. What is the matter with these people? He kind of sticks his tongue out as he does say, you mug sort of thing. And, I got no problem with it. I think it's one of those things. And Callum Wilson going on and talking about, professionalism and how to win games and show respect and stuff. This is a guy who sits on his own podcast. He's slagging off Richie for taking his shirt off and having a joke about it, which is great if you're a Newcastle fan, even talking about other players like that and all the rest of it. But to a fellow professional, that's really disrespectful. And you can't live in a glass house and start lobbing stones at people, mate. It's just not right. You're going to make yourself look a complete twat. And I think you did. There's not much in it. It's handbags, and you reacted like a twat, and you could have got yourself in trouble for it. And I just think, what's the point? But it's emotions, isn't it? It's emotions, and players play with emotion, and you don't want to take that out of them. So it is what it is. But I just think, take a look at yourself, and maybe you should have said, I felt it was disrespectful, but it is what it is, and kind of moved on. And to a certain extent he did, I guess. But yeah, it was just interesting. But for me, I'm just over the moon that we're back winning, especially with results going our way. Infuriating to see West Ham get absolutely smashed by Fulham 5-0 when they kind of got that really, really lucky result against us, which adds to this idea that it's their cup final, and they say it isn't. But they love to beat us. But in the same way that we love to beat them. So I make no bones about that either. I like seeing us beat West Ham in the same way that he likes seeing West Ham beat us. But that's infuriating to see them go down so easily against Fulham after getting that great result against us. It's disappointing because it's almost one of those what if moments, isn't it? What could have been. You've had the Villa game where we were dominant. You've had the Wolves game which we lost in the last week. You've had the West Ham game that you kind of threw away right at the end. And you think there's 9 points there. What a difference those 9 points would make. But it's the same for every team, isn't it? Every team's had some of those results. You look at some of the results that have happened at the weekend. Did you really think that Everton were going to beat Chelsea? Some people probably did. My Everton supporting colleague was expecting it. But I didn't see it. I think with them getting beaten before, I thought they've got to step this back up again. But there you go. And of course, Man City getting a goal against them against Luton and having to come from behind and stuff like that. This is the Premier League. This is why the Premier League is so exciting and why everyone loves it, because you just don't know what's going to happen. You just don't know. And anyone can beat anyone on their day. Aston Villa, playing really, really well, doing really, really well. Beating Arsenal to knock them off the top. I mean, that was a delight to see, and makes me feel a little bit better about Villa beating us, because they are a decent team. They're playing particularly well and deserve to be where they are. So yeah, it is what it is. This is why we love football, right? So on to the next one. We've got Newcastle then, Nottingham Forest on Friday. Following that game, I'll be live with Chris Callin on his podcast, so it'd be good to go back on that. I haven't done that for a while. So it'll be interesting. So any of you, the guys that watch Chris, you'll see me there as well to hear my views on that game. But as always, I wanted to say thanks for everyone who's sticking by me, because I know I've been a bit quiet for a little while, but it's great to have the feedback and the comments and stuff that you guys are providing. It makes me feel wanted and a little bit loved. I appreciate it. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. 15 minutes it's coming up to. I've tried to keep these as quick as I can, but I do like to ramble on. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Love you and leave you. Up the Spurs.